Build your better breakfast at Subway with the tasty 250 combo, a 16-ounce cup of freshly brewed Seattle's best coffee, and any delicious egg muffin melt. And don't hit the snooze on this deal. Right now, come in before 11 a.m. for a $5 foot-long breakfast sub. Subway, eat fresh. The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report, a gloomy day here in Southern California. We're in the mid-October weather swoon, but that's not going to stop us from doing the Week 7 lines and talking to our friend Cousin Sal. He's in the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. We watched football all day yesterday, so I feel like I've already run out of things to talk about with. But let's do it anyway.
The weather. I hate to start on a negative note, but no one cares about the weather here in L.A.
I like to let people know.
But the guy selling water purifiers who's taking a 40-minute lunch break to eat in his car listening to us on a Friday morning doesn't care that it's gloomy in L.A. Monday, right?
It's my thing. That's how I start. Were you watching the news last night?
The news. No.
Yeah, the news, the local news.
No.
There's a kidnapping in Pasadena, and they found the kid a day later. It was the most uplifting
really?
story of the weekend. Yeah.
All right. Well,
the process works.
That they care about, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Week 7, but not before we discuss Week 6. I guess the big story for you is that the Cowboys, I don't know if they're dead, but they're definitely on life support.
I don't know. I try to think of something new and exciting to say every week about this team, but I feel like, and I listen to Wade Phillips, and he seems to me like he's Michael Lohan, he's like apologizing for his daughter's performance. She keeps failing drug tests. She hangs around with the wrong people. She's committing dumb penalties. Missing tackles, piss poor special teams play. And then Phillips has to explain that a lot of it is because he's a terrible father.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like Favre has 118 yards passing, Peterson 77 on the ground, and we lose.
I would say a bigger
thing we do well is stay in a game long enough to come up with a horrible ending. So
I would say a bigger concern is that Romo looks like he's taken a step backward.
Yeah,
because you can always change your coach, but you want to make sure you have the foundation to do something great. And how many times in the fourth quarter can he kill you?
It's a lot. It's getting to be a lot. And, it's funny. I keep try to think of excuses for him. Like my buddy and I were talking about, wow, he never really throws an interception unless it's off a tip pass. And then, sure enough, linebacker makes a great play. Clean grab, and that was the end of it for him.
Even though afterwards we were both saying, the linebacker did kind of dupe him into that one. They're going to make excuses for him. There's something about Romo you just want to make excuses for him.
Yeah.
Not a good quality for a QB.
It's very sad, and especially considering the next meaningful game is probably, thanks to the lockout, September 2012. So.
Yeah, you said that. I disagree. You only have 4 losses.
I thought you were going to disagree that they're going on strike. I would have been more excited about that.
No, I don't disagree on that.
3 games out of a wild card, say what you will about how bad the NFC is, but there's now 6 teams with 4 wins or something, like with 3 games out. So
I know, but some of those records in the NFC are soft. And plus, there's not even we don't even know who the dominant team in the NFC is. I guess now maybe you could say Philly, I guess. I don't know. I don't feel that good about Philly.
Well,
do you?
It's probably Philly right now, but I think everything's going to change in like 5 or 6 weeks. Like you look at New Orleans, you might not put them in your top 5 now, but
they took care of business finally.
Yeah, they're good. It's going to be interesting. I would still jump on AFC -1.5 in the Super Bowl, but
why haven't we jumped on that? Speaking of jumping, why haven't we jumped on that? I think we should jump in that. Here's what Dallas has: you have you're home again for the New York Giants Monday night. The heat will be on. That's followed by another home game, Jacksonville. So he could be 3-4 in 2 weeks. Then you have Green Bay on a Sunday night, November 7th. Green Bay has lost half their team. Who knows if that's going to continue. And then you go to at the Giants. So you maybe split those. So you could be 4-5 going into, then you're home for Detroit, and then you have New Orleans and Thanksgiving. That could be 6-5.
Then we just have New Orleans, Indy, and Philly. Yeah.
All right, write them off. Okay.
I look at it. Believe me, I study this and I study it and I study it and I look at the talent on each side. But like I said, we do nothing that a winning football team does. We commit penalties like. First of all, it's a joke. I think we get picked on a little bit with some of these celebration calls, but
yeah, it is. Actually,
it's like we said, like the Raiders. They knew they were penalized, so the refs didn't feel bad calling them for anything. But anyway, that's besides the point. The play calling is miserable. We don't have anyone tough on the inside. Linebackers or safeties. We don't force turnovers. What do we do to win any of these games coming up?
And I made that case this summer. I made that case about 2 weeks into the season. Like there's really no indication that Dallas is good. And now that they're 1-4, I think that speaks for itself. But here's something interesting for you. So after I think week 3, or heading into week 3, I was going to write a power poll column where I ranked the teams, but I decided not to do it. I wrote something else. But I kept the power poll, which I wrote. Here's how it went heading into week 3. Number 1 was Green Bay.
4 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, so this was between week 2 and week 3. I wrote this down. Number 1, Green Bay. Number 2, Houston. Now, you wouldn't put either of those teams in the top 10 now, right?
Probably no.
New Orleans was 3, Indy was 4. I think they would be like in this 5 to 9 range now, depending on how you feel about them. 5 was Pittsburgh. 6 was San Diego. I don't think they're in the top 20 at this point. 7, Atlanta. 8, Miami. 9, New York Jets. And 10, Baltimore. Now, I would say the Jets and Baltimore are probably 2 and 3 right now. I still... Here's the thing why I can't put the Pats ahead of Baltimore, even though they're 4-1 and they won in overtime. We talked about this yesterday. Harbaugh gave away that game. He did not play to win that game. He played not to lose it. And anytime a coach does that, it ends up killing the team. And they didn't do that one play to kind of seize the game by the testicles. And then the Pats hung around. They had their third possession in overtime before they finally made something happen. But kudos to the Pats, but the Ravens should have finished them off, I felt.
Yeah, it's funny. We were watching that game, and I was at least so close to anointing Baltimore as the best team in the league. Like, they had wins at the Jets and Pittsburgh, and it looked like it was going to be New England. And then I think you should give your Patriots defense a little credit there. They stepped up at the end.
Absolutely.
It's hard for me to realize because the Cowboys always disintegrate at the end, their defense does. So when a team steps up in the fourth quarter, even though they're tired, it's commendable.
Fair point. Yeah, second half and then OT, the defense made every play they needed to make. I need to watch it again. Just as I was watching it live, I was just kind of shocked. I really felt like Baltimore just wasn't aggressive at all. Like it was, it's 3rd and 1, let's run a fullback dive. Like there was no imagination. It was just like they almost didn't want to screw up the lead that they had in any conceivable way, but in the process let the Pats hang around. I need to watch it again.
Well, about another 6 hours to watch that game this week. God bless you.
Thank you. Let's go to the Week 7 lines. I made my choices ahead of time, so you're in trouble this week.
Good. I actually like that because I think, and some people think you have an unfair advantage. If you see what one line is, you might see what Vegas is doing with the rest. But
no, I didn't see any of the lines. I'm saying I guessed.
No, I know. Rather than guessing like on the spot.
Gotcha.
Maybe you should guess ahead of time.
Okay.
But all right, let's check it out. Jacksonville at Kansas City.
Jacksonville. So there's a line even though those teams are playing tonight.
Yeah, there was a line last night.
All right, I'm going to say Chiefs by 4.
Wow. right off the bat.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hit like 6 of these. I felt really good.
One of these teams is going to have 4 wins.
Chiefs are good. The Broncos, that was a tough loss. I hate the 46-yard pass interference penalty if the guy wasn't definitely going to catch it, but that's the rule. The guy face masked him. At the same time, the Chiefs' loss was much worse because that wasn't even a pass interference on Johnson. It should have gone the other way. That was horrible.
Yeah, I know. And these pass interference, back to the Denver one, even though this isn't their game, we talk about it all the time, being rewarded for a lousy pass, and shouldn't that be treated as a Hail Mary would? I mean, there's so much bumping around in the end zone in a Hail Mary. I mean, I know this guy was single covered, but it was 4th and long. Sanchez chucked it up, and he chucked it 5 yards short. The receiver stopped. The D-back stopped, and, he reached back, and it's just garbage. At most, it should be a 15-yard penalty.
Well, what do you think of this? What if we had accidental pass interference and intentional pass interference? I think that was an accidental one because the guy was reaching out, and his hand hit the face mask, and he kind of grabbed the face mask for a second. I don't feel like he went into that moment thinking, I'm going to grab this guy's face mask. But we've seen other plays where somebody gets beat, and they just clothesline the guy or whatever. To me, that should be 40 yards or whatever the play is. But if it's not intentional, it should be 15. I just think
it's too much of a gift. It's like you did 3 out of 4 things wrong on the play on the offense. You threw it to a guy who was covered. You threw it short. The guy didn't make the catch. And you're giving him the game right there. So
I will say though, watching that replay, I thought Sanchez did a nice job. He bought himself an extra second and a half and then was like, all right, I'm going to chuck it out there. Either he makes a play or make it interfered with. But I thought he did the right thing in that play.
He might have. I guess he did. The Jets seem to be a lucky team this year. Between 6 days, 2 wins they maybe shouldn't have had.
Yeah, but luck is, we say this every year. There's always going to be 2 teams or 3 teams that have the horseshoe. And last year was the Saints. They won a couple stupid games like that. I felt like the Broncos outplayed them was my problem with that game. I'm really shocked that they just didn't win by 10. They get 2 interceptions early. They were moving the ball. It just seemed like they should have won that game pretty convincingly.
Right.
Anyway.
And you're right. We do say it every year. Luck plays a role. But I'm going to make a conscious effort not to say it next year. Just to say I didn't say it.
Okay.
All right. San Fran at Carolina.
See, I'm going to hit this one exactly, too. Niners by 3.5.
Oh, wow. See, I was way off. It's Niners by 3. Carolina hasn't played in such a long time. I forgot how bad they suck. So, but I thought Carolina would be favored by 1.
They're either number 31 or number 32. They're either the second or the worst team in the league. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, they'll be the worst as soon as the Bills secede from the Union.
Joe Meade.
Yes.
Panthers versus Bills on a neutral field. Who wins?
Bills.
Yeah, Panthers might be the worst.
I like Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, they could at least score 24 points in that game.
Is the neutral field a home game for the Bills? Is it Toronto?
That hurts.
I don't know. All right. Sorry, Joe. We'll get back to the Bills. Cincinnati at Atlanta.
I'm not giving up on Atlanta. I know they stunk last week. I hate the Bengals. I can guarantee I'm going to pick this game in the Vegas contest. I'm going to say Falcons by 4.
You're on some roll here. You had 4 is exactly right. I said 3.5.
I tell you, I'm going to hit 6 of these.
By half a point. I'm down 3-0 already.
I'm going to hit 6 of these.
All right, not good. Yeah, it's funny. I don't want to give up on Cincy yet. You don't want to give up in Atlanta, but maybe there's a better game than we think.
I think Atlanta yesterday was just due for a bad game. They'd played well or played close every week, and I'd love to look at this sometime and figure out how many consecutive times can you play there from decent to really good before you have to have at least one stinker. Seems like 5's a lot. 5's a lot. To have 6 in a row where you play at your peak performance or close to it's kind of a stretch. And
especially on the road. I don't know, they look like they hung in there, but they got beat up early Atlanta at Philly, and there was no coming back.
I gotta say Ryan missing passes, and that's been a recurring theme with him this year. He has guys wide open and he throws it high, or he throws it low, or whatever. But I think not sure if he's very good.
Well, he'll shine by comparison to Carson Palmer this week.
Yeah, he's not on that level.
Won't have to worry about that. Philly at Tennessee.
Yeah, I got Titans
Good
by
game. Good early game.
Good one. I have Titans by 3, and that'll dip if they lose today, obviously. But Titans by 3.
Well, I had 3 also, and I can't even get that alone. It's 3. It's exactly 3.
All right.
So you're up 4-1 if we include the tie.
Yep.
You're on some kind of roll here. I guess Vic starts this game, right? What do you do if you're Andy Reid?
It's the most topsy-turvy quarterback battle we've had. It's like we've had 4 upper hands already.
he's getting lucky. It's kind of Andy Reid that it's kind of been picked for him, like who starts. But he's going to have to make a decision, and then that's going to complicate his game management skills.
You're right.
Who knows what could happen then?
Kevin Cobb had a couple deep balls that were about as nice as you could throw them. I mean, like nailing the guy in stride, way down. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. All right, Cleveland at New Orleans.
Ooh, yeah, there was a couple Highlands this week.
You're going to get this wrong.
I think that this is going to be New Orleans by 13.
All right, I said 13 also, and it's 13.5. I can't gain on you at all.
I haven't been off by more than a half point yet. Just pointing that out.
Something else.
Wait, by the way, I kind of like the Browns in that game.
In this one here?
Yeah, 13.5's a lot if Peyton Hillis plays.
That's why I kept them in that. I mean, it surprised the hell out of it. We so didn't want to watch that Steelers-Browns game, but
no.
we weren't paying attention to it.
There was a nice run of good gambling moments there in the early games that were all happening around the same time. The Giants-Lions, Steelers-Browns, the Dolphins-Packers have heating up, and Pats-Ravens, obviously. There was a lot of balls in play there.
Yep. Yeah. I think, if you think New Orleans is back a little, I kind of get the feeling they are.
I'd like to see them do it 2 weeks in a row because that was the first good game they've played in 6. And, you know, it was kind of a lay this.
A wise man and then like 5,000 other simpleton ex-jocks have once reminded us you have to be able to run the ball to win in this National Football League. And they got some guy, Eddie Lee Ivory or something, is tearing it up for him.
They needed to lay the smackdown with somebody, which they did, but I'm still not totally sold. I want to see it again.
All right. Buffalo, Joe Meade's Buffalo Bills at Baltimore.
Yeah, this was a tough one. It was I knew it was going to be at least 13, and I was deciding between 13, 13.5, and 14. So I'm going to say 13.5.
All right. I said 13.5 also, and it's 13. Wow, this is 6 in a row that you're either right on or half point off.
Sometimes you look at the weeks and it just kind of falls into place.
Oh, shut up.
I'm just telling you.
I don't know. Well, listen, the Bills will have 2 weeks to prepare for this, and they don't have a chance, right?
Well, the thing with a team, at least they can throw the ball. They're like the Lions. So when you're giving them that many points, you have to basically get over 21 because you know they're going to get the cheap touchdown in the last 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I don't know. That's a stay away from me.
That's true. All right, St. Louis at Tampa Bay.
Who would have thought this was kind of like a mildly interesting game?
I know. You may have to pay attention.
The Rams might be decent. I don't know where they have enough players because they whiffed on so many drafts. I don't know where they have the players to, you know, look that good on defense.
Ariel Alexander for months now.
Yeah, we didn't know who that guy was. He scored a touchdown. I'm going to say Bucks by 3.
All right, you get it. It's 2.5. I said 4. I thought it'd be a little higher.
Oof. I had 2.5 and I switched
more
it.
Than 3. It's true.
I like the Bucks. They got killed by Pittsburgh and they got killed by New Orleans. So obviously they're not somebody that can hang with a really good team. But I think against the other teams on their level, a little frisky.
Yeah. Hold on, I have a recording of you from last podcast.
Yeah, all right.
Josh Freeman is a Hall of Famer. He should be flown to Canton ASAP. He's the second coming of Johnny Unitas, and I'd love to see him make a cameo appearance in 90210. Maybe busting tables at the Peach Pit.
There you go.
You missed how you didn't do the Josh Freeman wins football games.
What? Oh, he wins football
That's what I wrote.
I don't know. That was a recording.
Josh Freeman wins football games.
I think he's going to win this one. All right, Washington and Chicago. I read somewhere that Chicago lost yesterday, and they still have 4 wins.
I know. It's the weakest 4 wins we've had in a while. I had the Bears by 2.5 in this one. I don't think they're quite good enough to be 3.
Gotcha. It's 3. 3. Yeah.
I like the Redskins.
Oh, man. I'm much more interested in St. Louis Tampa than this game. I don't know why. I'm sick of these teams.
Were you watching? Did you watch the Sunday Night Football last night?
Yeah.
So McNabb gets the ball back. There's like a little over 2 minutes left, 3 timeouts. Did you have any confidence he was going to come down and get points?
No, I sort of think like even if they did get points, if they left Peyton Manning like 18 seconds, it wasn't going to work out for them. So.
Yeah, usually you watch a game like that's been pretty close, and the home team's down 3 with all that momentum and timeouts, and they have a veteran quarterback, and you just think, at the very least, overtime. Yeah. But I was watching it thinking, well, Indy's going to win by 3 because McNabb won't win this.
Right.
Something unclutch about him.
Like, don't you think when they get healthy, they're going to be right back on top?
Yep.
Talk about everyone else. But when they go on the road against a good team or an average team, I still take them almost every time.
I think the Colts and the Vikings are the 2 teams that the Week 13 versions of them are not close to what we're seeing now.
Yeah. The Vikings. All right. Pittsburgh at Miami. I think this is the best game of the early slate.
It's a good one, and I'm going to hit this exactly. Steelers by 3.
Wow. What's the matter? You think I don't do this every week or something? I said Steelers by 1, but it is Steelers by 3.
Dolphins are good. I mean, they went it.
I thought they would be. I thought they'd have a little more respect from Vegas or Antigua or whatever.
Yeah, but the Steelers are the number 1 team. Like they can't be giving less than 3 on the road against anybody except for Baltimore and the Jets. I think. Maybe the Pats. I think they'd be even with the Pats. Maybe Colts. Actually, yeah, the Colts, they'd be probably getting points.
I guess now with Big Ben back. By the way, what do you think Big Ben gets Brett Favre for Christmas? I mean, thanks to him, he's no longer the biggest scumbag quarterback.
That's a great point. I didn't think of that. Yeah, he definitely he deflected almost everything.
Yeah. And, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and James Harrison, here's something else to add. This guy is, what's the deal with him? Nobody sees what he's doing, taking heads off?
Yeah, but I thought yesterday was especially violent.
Yeah.
The Falcons-Eagles collision was one of the worst ones in a couple of years. Where when both guys have to be helped off.
Back and getting hurt himself.
Yeah. That was bad.
Well, listen, refs, keep calling the leapfrog penalties on Miles Austin in the end zone. That's what's going to ruin the league.
Yeah.
How many favorite players concussed week after week? Arizona at Seattle. This one I got exactly. It's not easy.
Yeah. I mean, on paper, you would think it would be a 3-point game, but I'm not sold on the Cardinals at all. And I like the Seahawks at home. I'm going to say Seahawks by 4.5.
What?
Did I hit it?
I had 4.5 also, and it's 4.5. If I can't pull away on that game, forget it.
I predicted I'd hit 6 exactly. I was listen, I don't know what else to tell you.
Oh, man. All right.
Who do you like in that one?
I've been getting a lot of emails that I spoke too soon of trashing the NFC West. And
I'm getting those emails.
Now, Arizona, Seattle, San Fran, and St. Louis, it's still a piece of crap division. I mean, if you really look at it.
It's a polished turd. I think AFC West is the dregs, though. The AFC West has surpassed.
You think they're the worst?
Yeah. Yeah, they're really bad. Who is your...
NFC West, whoever wins that game would be a 5-point underdog in the playoffs at home. Game 1.
You might be right.
Right.
Well, the Rams might not be terrible. Because they can run the ball, and Bradford is so much better than I think anybody anticipated as a rookie. And they have a good coach. It seems like they have a little bit of a home field.
Finally coming into his own.
Yeah, Jameer Alexander, we always knew he had this in him.
Yeah. All right, on to your AFC West, which Oakland at Denver. The last 2 weeks, the AFC West is 1-7, and that's because Oakland beat San Diego. 1-7 in the last 8 games. Well,
the Raiders were getting 6.5 against the Niners last week and did not cover that. I think the Broncos are about dead even with the Niners, so I'm going to say Broncos by 7.
All right, you get that. I said 7.5. I had the same reasoning as you, but you didn't think that Denver's better than San Fran? I thought they were a point better. I said 7.5, and it's 6.5, so you get it.
I've been within a half point of every game.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's move on. New England at San Diego.
I had the most trouble with this one out of anyone on the slate. because the Chargers at home have been great. On the road, they're horrendous. I had Chargers by 3.
Oh, yeah, I just thought of something. Is this going to be blacked out?
Nah, that'll be a sellout. You got all the Boston transplants.
Don't think it's this.
Chargers by 3.
You got another one. I said 2. It is 3.
It's a fair line.
This is killing me.
Who do you like in that one?
I mean, I think you're catching them at a good time. You know, I don't know if Gates or Floyd are going to be in this game. The Chargers receivers are banged up, and they still haven't really figured out who's running the ball. So, but this is a game the Pats could afford to lose, right?
Could afford to lose, but if they win, because the schedule gets pretty easy down the stretch, go 5-1. I would have taken 5-4 heading into the last 7, because I think they go like 6-1 last 7. So if they can get to like 6-3, 7-2, pretty good.
You know, you left me a message on my phone. We watched the game together. I don't know why you would call me while we were watching the game together to leave a message, but I have it here during yesterday's Pats game.
I love Deion Branch. Him coming back to the Pats reminds me of Rocky III when Rocky and Mick went back to Okinawa. That's a 9.5 on the unintentional comedy scale.
That's not what I said.
We were watching the game together. Why did you feel it was necessary?
I said it was like Rocky and Apollo.
Oh.
Yeah, you screwed that up.
Okinawa thing? I might have.
Nah, you messed that up.
All right. Minnesota, Green Bay. This is the Sunday night game.
Yeah. And
we're watching a watered-down version of both these teams. Like you said, like Week 13, Minnesota might be back, or Green Bay. But
I don't think I've guessed this once in 7 weeks, but I'm doing it now. I'm going with a pick'em.
Oh, wow. Dun, 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 dun. I had this exact. It's Green Bay -3.
Really?
Yeah.
Did I clinch already?
Oh, yeah, I think so. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11-6.
Oh, so that was the first one I was way off on. What am I missing with the Packers? I mean, they're missing like 6 guys. They lost at home to the Dolphins. Minnesota, I just feel Minnesota's better.
They are, but I think there's a must-win tag on some of these teams, and it raises them about 3/4 of a point on the spread. San Diego probably shouldn't be favored by 3 over New England. Same with Green Bay and Minnesota.
I like the Vikings.
All right, Monday night, Giants with the Cowboys.
You know, normally you'd get at least 3 out of respect from Vegas, but it's been so embarrassing. I think they'd dock you a half point, 2.5 Cowboys.
Yeah, we get no respect we don't even deserve respect from Siegfried and Roy in Vegas. So I don't know. It is actually 3, and I said 3.
Oh.
I get that one. And I think that sets a record for us for spreads that are between 2.5 and 3.5. That's 8 out of 14 games.
I love that. I think it's much easier. Then you're basically picking who you think's going to win. Anytime it's 3 or under, which I like. I don't like having those situations like that Giants game when they dominate, but somehow don't cover. I hate that.
Yeah, but if you're going to pick them right is the question.
So I'm leading now 5-1, 5 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie.
Yeah, and we had a good request from what the contest should be from the guy's name was Mike from Chicago. He said, what did he say? The winner gets to choose a vanity license plate.
Yeah, I like that one for a year. Yeah, that was pretty good.
It's a good thing I'm going to lose because I don't think the DMV would agree with any of my suggestions.
I also like the idea of the loser has to promote breast cancer awareness for the entire season with a pink football jersey.
Ooh, that's not bad.
It's a good one. You're wearing pink, but you're also promoting awareness for cancer. I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Well, I mean, you wear pink all the time, so what does it mean to you?
We're moving into the Mad Men spoiler version. You have 30 seconds to complain about last night's season finale.
But that was, first of all, why? All right, I know that's 10 seconds gone already, but why do my shows all have to get ruined at the end? What is he like is he in control, Draper, or is he not? Is he like a 19-year-old kid who fell in love with a stripper and gets engaged? I don't get it. I don't get that. And I know they wrote an alternate ending where Betty doesn't fire the black maid and Draper proposes to her in California. but I would have gone with that instead.
That would have been controversial.
You like that ending?
I like the show. I was it fit in with how weird the season was.
Wasn't it?
I fit in with how weird the season was for me, and he just doesn't know what he wants, and he was a mess all year, and we're going to talk about it with Sepinwall, but I did thought it kept in the spirit of how weird the season was, and at least Joan didn't abort the baby.
I like him being more in control, but he's not going to cheat on her. This is clearly the one for him, and he won't be cheating anymore.
For at least 2 months. Cousin Sal, we'll see you for week 8. Talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
To continue the Mad Men discussion, we're going to call our pal Alan Sepinwall, the TV critic for HitFix.com, and a frequent guest on the BS Report. He only has 10 minutes. Then he has to record a podcast of his own. How dare he?
Hey, it's Alan.
Hey, it's Bill.
All right.
You said opinion's been split. Explain.
I don't know. A lot of people are really mad at Don for doing what he did with Megan, the way he was acting. A lot of people thought that the proposal scene played out like a dream sequence. It kind of surprised me because I really liked the finale. But some people are really ticked off.
I really liked it too, and I thought it kept the momentum of what was a really weird season that went in a lot of different directions. But the one hallmark of season 4 was that Don Draper is just messed up emotionally and has no idea what he wants, and his life's going in 40 directions, and he's still trying to figure out who he is. And I thought it made perfect sense to me that he would just lose his mind and fall in love with somebody in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like for a while there, after the episode with Peggy and the suitcase and all that, he was getting a little better, but then things got bad in these last few episodes. So I can totally see him just losing his mind and doing this.
And a couple interesting little tiny things they threw in here. One is that I felt like Peggy was a little disappointed for a second.
Well, when he goes to her and he says, "She reminds me of you," after they've had a few different conversations about the fact that he's now slept with several secretaries and he never slept with her, I don't know that she necessarily wants to sleep with him, but I think she's sort of offended that he's never even thought of her in that way, even if that's not what she wants.
But she doesn't. You don't think she's a little sweet on him after the suitcase episode?
No, I think she knows him too well, and I think she understands him so well that she realizes that that's a messed up dude who's a very good mentor and not someone she ever wants to get involved with.
So they had that little touchstone in there, and then something you pointed out in your column that you wrote, your recap column. What do you call those exactly? What's your official name?
A review, I guess. I don't know. Different people call them different things.
Deconstruction?
That's what Goodman uses. I wrote about Mad Men.
Decon?
Muhammad Ali.
January Jones playing Betty Draper.
Yeah.
Draper shows up, he's coming in, and she's pretending she's in the kitchen about to leave with a box, but she's actually putting makeup on it and clearly just waiting for him, and kind of has that come hither look in her eye, I felt like.
Yeah, things are not working out with her in the new marriage and the new move, and suddenly Draper's looking awful good to her, but, in part because she fired Carla, he's no longer on the market.
Right. Are you okay with the whole Betty Draper, Glenn the Kid whole subplot, which I don't really totally understand why she has so much animosity? I remember they had their little interaction a couple of seasons ago, but...
It's because, it's this whole thing where she's this overgrown child. She looks like a woman, but she has the emotions of like an 11-year-old. And I think she's jealous of Glenn showing so much attention to Sally, and she thinks he's just doing it to get at her. She is far more messed up than Don is, even on his worst day. I buy it based on everything they've sort of told us about her in the past.
Okay. So basically, if you had to bet, yes or no, did the grandfather molest Betty Draper and then Sally?
No.
No, really?
I'm 100% against you and JackO on this one. I don't. A lot of people have raised it. I don't think that there have been any real clues to that. I just think he was sort of a distant father. Betty's mom was emotionally abusive to her. That's how she wound up that way. And Sally was upset when he died. She missed him. He was the only grown-up who ever really paid attention to her.
Okay, because arrested development is one of the symptoms of child abuse.
That is true, but it sounds like the person who was abusing her was her mother and not in a physical way.
Okay. So, Roger Sterling has a kid on the way. By the way, I won that one. I threw that one at you.
Yeah, I was wrong. I thought she had the abortion, but,
Simmons 1, Sepinwall 0. See, I've seen too much bad TV. Unless they show the woman on the little hospital thingy, the hospital bed, like really ready to go through with it. If you're just in the waiting room, I'm not buying it. I need to see the evidence.
No, she definitely had the I'm getting too old for this look on her face. Everybody was right about that but me. So,
and her husband in Vietnam is now like Kenny in South Park. Every scene he's in, you're just waiting for him to blow up. Or like, even on the phone in the season finale, I was waiting. Okay, honey, I'll see you later. Hang up.
That would be the feel-good TV moment of the decade.
Yeah.
If that were to happen.
People just want to get rid of him. So she's going to have this kid. Now she's going to tell, if the guy somehow survives, which I don't think he will, she's going to tell him the kid was born prematurely?
Or late or whatever. He's far enough away. I'm sure she can fudge the date. I mean, it's only, I think, a few weeks difference. I mean, she said she was like 7 weeks late and he'd been gone a few weeks before that, but it's close enough that I think she can pull it off if she wants to. We've already seen that he's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Right.
So,
Dr. Faye, who it feels like probably will not be back for season 5. What do you think went wrong with her and Draper? Because I've narrowed it down to either once he told her his secret and she wasn't like repulsed by him or didn't have the reaction he was looking for, he lost interest, or maybe a Tiger or Lynn Norgren thing just didn't really get him going in the sack.
No, I just think she was going to challenge him. She wanted him to sort of keep growing. She was a mature woman. She was on his level. And, I like Don, but that's not really what Don wants. Don will maybe want that in a mistress. He does not want that in a wife. He wants somebody who sort of adores him and is good with the kids and is a cheerleader and all that. And basically, Megan seems like a lot of the things that he thought he was getting in Betty when he married her all those years ago.
Yeah, the key scene, which was a little subtle, was when Sally knocked over the milkshake and Don reacted, because January Jones would have gone crazy.
Yep.
And yet the secretary was, it's all right, it's just a milkshake.
Yeah, and you see like everybody in the family sort of staring at her like, wait a minute, this is how someone can actually react in this situation?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was possible.
That was a good one. What did you think about Matthew Weiner throwing in the comment about her teeth?
It's the elephant in the room, man. You got to mention it at some point or other. Everybody constantly is asking me about her teeth. That's what her teeth look like. She's a beautiful woman. She just has big teeth,
It made me feel bad for her in real life.
Noticeable.
It made me feel bad for her in real life, though.
But I'm sure she's probably been told that by casting directors and stuff, and I bet you she probably told Weiner that at some point, and he wrote it into the show. That happens a lot with actors and producers.
She's pretty good. I think she's one of the better actresses, because sometimes with these AMC shows, when you have the bit players, that's where they kind of don't have the money. It's like an NBA team that they don't have the extra money to get the 8th and 9th man.
Well, I mean, she's done a lot of stuff over the last few years. She was on a show with John Slattery called Jack and Bobby, and as soon as I saw her in that small role, I'm like, wait, why are they using her for that? And clearly they had this whole plan. So, all
right, so where do we go?
I don't think any of I mean, the firm is obviously going to survive. It'll be sort of a slow build, but they got one client now. So now other people know, all right, they're taking new business. Maybe we can go to them. But I don't think this marriage is going to be what Don wants. I don't think the baby is going to be what Joan wants. I think we're going to come back. It'll be 6 months, a year, 18 months, and everybody's just going to be as unhappy as they were before.
I liked your theory about the fresh start. It was the fresh start episode.
Yep. Don loves the fresh start. Everybody's going for the fresh start. But, I mean, there's no such thing. It's like what Henry says. Lives carry on.
Yeah, I like that. Henry was like kind of Confucius for the episode.
He was telling Betty that no one is on her side. I was very much liking Henry Francis in this one.
All right, quick questions here. Don Draper, married at the beginning of season 5 or no?
Married.
Married?
They're not going to come back early enough for us to see the wedding. Even when they did the one with Betty's pregnancy, there was at least a 6-month gap, and it sounded like Don wanted to get married in a hurry.
Betty Draper married at the beginning of season 5 or no?
Yeah, married.
Joan.
I don't think it'll be going well, but I think in that case, if it's going to fall apart, we'll see that.
Joan a widow in season 5, beginning first episode, or no?
We can only hope, but I don't think so. I think at this point Weiner knows how much everyone is rooting for that, and so he's not going to do it just to sort of spite our expectations.
Let's talk about that for 1 second. You've mentioned that he is very spoiler. He's crazy about not having any spoilers come out, not having any info. He gives the actors only their pages of dialogue. Does he really – he's not like the Lost guys, right, where he's so concerned about internet chatter that it actually affects –
He is Matt Weiner is by far the most spoiler-phobic guy I've ever seen. AMC used to send out every episode of the show in advance for critics to see so that people like me could have their reviews go up as soon as the episode ends. And before the season started, the New York Times ran a review that gave away a couple of plot points from the season premiere, and he got so mad that he says, all right, we're not sending those out anymore.
That was it. That's why you have to watch the show and then do it late at night, East Coast time.
We all got cut off.
Now, that explains your cocaine habit that you developed during season 4.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug, Bill.
All right, so you're overall A- for season 4? I thought it was best from start to finish.
I would say probably season 1 was maybe a little bit stronger, but that's always got the novelty factor. But this was a really great season, and the suitcase is probably my favorite Mad Men episode. So
I agree. I would go a step further. Season 4, my favorite season. Suitcase, my favorite episode. I still think the Polaroid scene or whatever in the last episode of season 1 was still the best single scene and moment.
Yeah, the Kodak scene.
Kodak scene, sorry. And but I thought the suitcase as a whole was the best episode, and both of them should win Emmys for that. But they probably
I
won't.
hope they will. And Bryan Cranston's not going to be eligible because Breaking Bad won't be on this year. So hopefully he finally wins because damn no, he deserves it.
We have 60 seconds. Favorite new show of 2010.
Favorite new Terriers, FX, Private Eye show. I love it. The ratings are not as good as they should be. I hope more people start watching because it's fantastic. And now that Mad Men is off the air, I would say it's probably the best show on TV right now.
Most surprising network hit?
There really aren't network hits. This has not been a good year. I'm surprised it's the William Shatner show and Outsourced aren't bombing because I guess I hope they had, but nothing's doing huge.
Do you think less of me or more of me that I enjoy Blue Bloods and watch it every week?
Blue Bloods is fine. I got no problem with Tom Selleck and Donnie Wahlberg, and I don't have your pathological hatred of Bridget Moynihan. So.
Oh, that's right, because you're a New York fan.
Yep.
And then Hawaii Five-0 didn't do quite as well as they thought, right?
Yeah, it's doing okay. It's successful, but I think they were hoping for a big hit, and it's just been sort of BB plus in terms of the ratings.
It's a hitless season.
Yeah, no, because there was not really a lot of good new shows, so it happens.
Amazing. You would think television would get better, but it just seems like
at least. But there's always some good stuff coming up. It's just you got to hunt for it sometimes.
Well, the next time you come on, we'll have to argue about Boardwalk Empire because I'm already out.
You're out already?
I'm out.
Did you see last week's episode where Omar gives the big speech?
I'm out. Once I found out that Buscemi's character was 6'4" in real life, I'm out. I can't come back from that.
Your height. We have to do a whole podcast just talking about your height thing.
No, it's just he was this larger-than-life guy, and he's played by Steve Buscemi. He's 100 pounds. Slamming guys' heads against the blackjack table? Come on.
Okay. Well, I will do a podcast defending Boardwalk Empire. Not a problem.
That's great. Well, I look forward to HBO's Michael Jordan biopic where he's played by somebody who's 5'6". That'll be great. It'll be realistic. All right, we'll come back on. We'll argue about that. Thanks for coming up.
Thanks, Bill.
Before we go, let's quickly call my buddy JackO at work. A big Mad Men fan and also a big Yankee fan with a big game tonight. Cliff Lee against Andy Pettitte at the stadium. Let's give him a ring.
Complex Litigation, this is John.
Johnny.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
2 minutes.
Okay.
We're doing a special Mad Men. Did you see it?
I did.
Thoughts, comments, reactions?
I thought it was an out-of-character episode for Mad Men. And I frankly kept thinking, as I tweeted earlier, I frankly kept waiting for it to be like a dream sequence, like the secretary's dream sequence that she was dreaming all this up, kind of like on Dallas when Bobby got shot.
Right.
At the end, it was going to be revealed that she was just asleep in the next hotel room and had dreamed the whole thing because it was so out of character for Don. I kept wondering what the angle was when he's like, or can I come knocking tomorrow night? For some reason I have to know. And then when he did the proposal, I almost fell out of my chair. Like, I'm in love with you, and I mean, what?
It was so out of character that I was in character because the guy has lost his character. He has no character. He doesn't know what the hell he is.
Yeah, he's all over the map. Like, yeah, the interesting thing is it kind of came full circle. Like, there was a smug look on Roger at the end because Don now did the same thing that he castigated Roger for the previous, not last season, but the season before that.
True.
Marrying his super young secretary and like on a whim. And Don was so outraged that he was like broke the friendship with Roger, and now he's done the same thing to someone he knows even less than Roger knew, his secretary.
Did you enjoy Peggy's reaction?
I did, yes.
She was like, could you take one crack at me, Don? Just something, grab my butt, anything?
I've worked all these years, and the secretary swoops in and takes you away.
Accidentally brush against one of my breasts for 1 second.
My wife loved the scene of her and Joan dishing about Don and all the men in the office.
Yeah.
That was like for every woman in America. They were like, right on, sister. You know?
Yeah. It was a nice catty moment that Mad Men usually doesn't have.
Yes.
I liked it, and I thought that if there's a television show that has brought you in to the point that a character makes a decision and you're screaming at the television like it's LeBron James during the decision,
yes.
That's a good television show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's riveting.
I actually paused it. I paused it. I was like, no, why?
I just couldn't believe it was really happening. I was like, I'm like, this can't be really happening right now.
I knew when she was in the pool with the kids, I was like, oh, he's going to like this. Because she's like basically the anti-Betty.
Yeah, well, the best one was when the kids spilled the milkshake.
Yeah.
And they're fearful because Betty would have like literally cut somebody's hand off.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, it's all right, it's just milkshake. And that's when like a light bulb clicked for everybody.
Yeah, Betty's like a dictator in some 1950s.
I mean, she was kind of, she was always unhappy. She was like a mope. But now she's just evil. I mean, firing the nanny.
Oh, that was another one. That was another yell at the TV moment. Don't fire Carla, no!
So brutal.
I love Carla.
And I love the fact that she's so unhappy now. Like, she thought that Henry was going to solve all of her problems, and now Henry can't cut his own leg off and get out of there quick enough. Like an animal caught in a trap.
No, it's I think he has some regrets.
That's a terrible job by Henry.
I think Betty once again proves my 12% theory about women who have had kids.
Yes.
Which I've been actually working on. Yeah, I think it doubles for you. It's 12% less sane after the kid, but then it doubles, and I think now she's at about 40%.
I was worried at the end that they were going to end up going at it, her and Don, like making out. I saw that coming. Like, there was, if the real estate agent wasn't on its way, I could see that because she had kind of a gleam in her eye about Don, and she obviously was there because she knew he was going to come by because she's got regrets about her life now. Suddenly Don doesn't look so bad to her.
Don's not drunk anymore, and he's clean-shaven. That was good enough for her.
When they shared the drink, I'm like, oh, boy. I thought that was going to be the cliffhanger, like the two of them kissing or something.
Him throwing her on the counter?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I felt to say they did a nice job of setting that up.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. It was sort of a little foreshadowing there or something.
Now, would you argue the last scene when he looked kind of out, he couldn't sleep, and he looks out in the window, was that I'm never going to be happy no matter what decision I make, or was that I jumped the gun, I could have gotten Betty back?
I don't know. I thought throughout the episode, when he was in bed with the secretary and after they got engaged, and he had a couple of moments of looking like, the 500-yard stare out the window or down at the floor, and I'm like, it doesn't look like somebody who's like deliriously happy here.
Yeah.
Like, what did that mean? At the end, like looking out the window, like what, did he suddenly sober up? And not literally that he was drunk, but just like after the glow of California and her being good with his kids, he was just like, oh man, did I rush into that?
How excited were you that Joan didn't have the abortion?
Extremely excited. That was good. I was waiting when they had the scene of the husband in Vietnam. I was waiting for like an incoming mortar right then to kill him, like while he was on the phone with her.
We just had Sepinwall on. I said the same thing to him. It's like South Park with Kenny. Every scene, you're just waiting for him to blow up. You get shot by bow and arrow.
Joan, I'll call you back. I'm just going out on a mission right now with the guys. I was waiting for that at the end.
Right. We're just about to launch this TED offensive.
From emails, the TED offensive was actually launched by our editor, but yes.
I screwed that up. It's not like I majored in poli-sci.
I was going to say, you're not the guy that had a whole symposium of watching Vietnam War movies that you somehow made into a class your senior year, were you?
I don't have any memory.
That's all right.
What would have been the right joke there? We're hearing Tet.
Yeah, well, I'm hearing Da Nang or something. Where,
Yeah.
like, I'm hearing Da Nang. It's pretty comfortable and quiet.
We've got them on the ropes.
My wife is not an avid watcher of Mad Men, but she's watched the last couple episodes with me, and she didn't know who Joan's husband was, so we were watching it. She said, "Who's that guy?" I said, "That's Joan's husband who's about to be killed in Vietnam." I really thought, like, right then and there, it was going to be like that. Joan's going to be like, "Hello, hello."
Were you excited that Joan got promoted?
I was, yeah. She's the director of Office something.
So where do you see season 5 going?
I don't know. It was sort of left unresolved about the whole future of the company. I mean, I guess they broke the string of losing accounts, but the one they signed was only like $250,000. So for them, their perspective, that's not a huge deal that saves the company. When Lucky Strike was $multi-million, so that was sort of left hanging. It wasn't like last season where the whole company was going to be taken over and you know what the future was, and it all got wrapped up in a bow at the end. But this year, I mean, for next year, that's still out there. Is Don going to have like domestic tranquility with the new wife and be happy? And what happens with?
No.
Does Joan tell Roger? No, I don't think so either. Does Joan tell Roger it's really his kid after the husband gets blown up in Vietnam?
Roger's going to know because the baby's going to have silver and red hair. It's going to be
come out smoking and cracking one-liners. Yeah.
Boy, it was hot in there. I'm glad I got out. Yeah. Roger had some good one-liners. I love that. Did you get cancer?
Yeah, that was fantastic. He's my favorite character. I love John Slattery.
You know what's great about him is they haven't overexposed him.
Yeah, they use him in small doses. Yeah, you're right.
He's almost like he just comes in for the brief counterpunch.
Yeah, exactly.
And he had the good moment earlier in the year when he got very upset at the Japanese.
Yeah.
Which is a little out of character for him. But
yeah, it was. But, the war took a toll on him, I guess.
So when do you think we come back?
Well, this was 1965, right?
Yeah, and everybody was thinking it would end with the blackout because they love the historical things. And then Matthew Weiner decided to curveball because he hates when people think they know what's going to happen. Yeah.
I don't know where they pick up, because this one picked up like several, was it a year later or several? It was like a year later, I think, than where it ended the previous season, right?
Almost, yeah.
So, I don't know. Do you skip ahead to like 1967, the Summer of Love? I don't know. 2 years down the line, Don's already on the verge of getting a divorce. Another kid for Don and the secretary.
I think it starts at Mickey Mantle's retirement day?
Could be. I'm actually reading that book right now.
Oh.
The new book by Jane Levy.
Yeah, I read the first 100 pages or so, and I'm not that interested in the Mick.
Well, it's pretty good. As a Yankee fan, it's required reading for me.
I feel like I know all the Mick stories, though. I mean, we grew up reading them. Everybody's written books about him. It's like, if he hadn't stepped in the drain pipe, he would have been the greatest ever, and he had a drinking problem, and his dad, he was going to quit. His dad was mean to him, and then he came back, and he was great. Joe DiMaggio hated him, and he screwed around, he caroused. And
yeah, that's pretty much it. She seeks to sort of demythologize him to a degree. And it's it's interesting. I found it an interesting book. Yeah, I mean it's well-trod territory, let's put it that way, but it's pretty good.
It is. I guess the only interesting thing about it that coming out now is just like comparing it to Favre and Tiger, and the fact that Mickey was, and you could say the same with JFK, like these guys that we deify now that are worse than the guys that we're slamming every week because they didn't act the way we wanted them to act.
Oh yeah, it was a different time. I mean, I'm sort of near the end of the book right now, and the Mick in later years was not. I mean, he wasn't ever really like a good guy, certainly not a good family man, but later years, I mean, he just really didn't treat people very well. A little rough for the old Mick.
Yeah, he quit drinking basically because his liver just.
Yeah, he had no other choice.
Yeah,
he would have died a lot sooner than he did.
Yeah, who would, if it feels like everybody has an autobiography or a biography. What biography is it out there that you would read?
Is it about some person?
Yeah, some athlete like of that, because like now DiMaggio has one, Ted Williams had one, Ruth's had 1 million, Mantle's had some, Mays just had one, Hank Aaron had one.
Clemente.
You feel like Clementi's had one?
Mm-hmm. I don't know who's left out there. I mean, that's all the big ones. I think there's even one about Stan the Man Musial. I don't think there's a lot of controversy about Stan the Man.
Yeah, that's not one I'd read.
No, I mean, he's like an upstanding citizen.
What was your favorite out of all those? Because you eat these up.
Well, my favorite one was probably the Joe Namath one.
Really?
I thought the Joe Namath one was really well done.
I thought you loved the DiMaggio one. I remember you were just going nuts about that.
I like the DiMaggio one, too. That guy, Richard Ben Kramer, he's probably the best writer out of the people that have tackled these.
Yeah.
I read the David Marinus, the Vince Lombardi one. That one wasn't bad. When Pride Mattered. That was pretty good.
It was a little long.
Yeah.
Not that I should complain about.
Actually, and I'm not a Red Sox fan, obviously, but Lee Montville's book about Ted Williams is probably like the best sports biography I've ever read.
Wow, so that's your number one then?
Yeah, I take that back. I think that was the best one. I didn't love Lee Montville's book about Babe Ruth. I didn't think it was that great, but his book about Ted Williams was fantastic.
I would argue that Ted Williams was the best documentary or the best biography subject out of anybody you could have done.
He's just such an interesting guy and just so many different lives, and just like I just thought that book was really entertaining and really, really well written. War
hero, greatest hitter ever, polarizing when he played, just like a really, really curmudgeonly guy that for some reason people kind of liked.
Yeah.
Even though he was such a curmudgeon, it was like fun. It was like reminds me of the Hunter S. Thompson stories.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone's like, Hunter was such a great guy. I remember this time he shot at me at his cabin.
Exactly.
Then there was this other time he hit me over the head with a whiskey bottle and left me for dead. Great guy.
Yeah, fun to hang out with.
He gave me these drugs. He didn't tell me they were laced with acid. I was wandering around Las Vegas for 8 days, but I'd do it again.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Where do I sign up? Right, yeah. Now, I like the Ted Williams book. The Lou Gehrig book was pretty good. But, yeah, I think Ted Williams is probably the best one.
What was that called? Luckiest Man Alive?
Yeah, Luckiest Man, yeah.
There hasn't been there was a Robinson book early.
Well, the guy that wrote Luckiest Man, Jonathan Eig, I think is how you pronounce it, he wrote a book about Jackie Robinson called Opening. Well, it's more about his first season. It's called Opening Day.
Right.
I haven't read the whole thing. I read some of it, and then it was getting a little boring.
There was a book written about Jackie Robinson, like I'm going to say in the 80s, late 80s maybe. I'm looking for it on Amazon. Basically about his first season, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Which was great. And I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, it feels like that could be the next giant one.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot written about him already, but you could also take it. Oh, it was called Baseball's Great Experiment.
Okay.
Jules Teigel. Came out a while ago, but I thought that was the best one. But somebody could take that another level, I feel like. But anyway.
Yeah.
How you feeling about the Yanks?
I'm a little nervous. I'm not feeling that great, I'll be honest with you. They were amazingly lucky to win Game 1, and you figure when they won that way, then Texas is just going to crawl away and die. That's going to be all she wrote. And then Game 2, not only did they not crawl away and die, but they battered Phil Hughes. Jorge Posada looks so pathetic behind the plate defensively. I mean, he's dropping balls, and guys are taking extra bases, everything I was afraid of.
Yeah.
And now everybody's like so panicked, like for the past week now. People have been calling the fan, and they're scared to death of Cliff Lee. Now, Cliff Lee is good, but, I mean, he's not Sandy Koufax. These people, it's like a foregone conclusion that they're going to lose tonight. I mean, yeah, money would probably be on Cliff Lee, but I don't think it's an automatic. They've beaten tougher guys than him in the past, Pedro, for instance.
Yeah.
So, and this coming back home helps. I think Pettit has to keep him close, keep the game close. You get into their bullpens, anything can happen.
The one thing with Cliff Lee is that, and this is what the Yankees are so great at, is just those 6-7 pitches per at bat.
The problem is he doesn't walk anybody, though.
I know, but it's just he's not going to be able to cruise through the lineup, I think, like he normally would. Even if he's going to get guys out, they're going to foul some. They just have a way of just stretching a pitcher out. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say C.J. Wilson. He was at, I think, 98 pitches through 7.
Yeah.
But it's weird to me. I agree with you. Everybody is just penciling in Cliff Lee for the win, and meanwhile, Pettit at home, that's been a pretty good recipe.
Right. And the Yankee crowd will be going crazy. Now, interestingly, they can't really be too vitriolic against Cliff Lee because we're hoping he's wearing the pinstripes in April.
That's so terrible.
That's a weird situation, too. But, yeah, I'll take my chances with Pettit against him. I mean, look at Halladay lost in Game 1, you know? Anything's possible. The guy threw a no-hitters for the previous time out, so.
That was a weird game. I don't know if you saw it, but
some of it.
He had thrown like 11 straight no-hit innings, and everybody was just thinking Vandermeer.
Right.
And And then that guy went deep on him, and it was like the old pin in the balloon. All right, so today's line. What do you think the line is for Pettit Lee?
What do I think the line is for Cliff Lee?
No, for tonight's game.
I don't know. I never understand these baseball money lines.
He's a smidge of a favorite.
Really?
He's minus 110.
So a lot of New York bunnies on Pettit.
Pettit is basically even. You bet 100, you win 101.
Interesting.
Pettit, I don't know. I would not go against Pettit in a game that nobody thinks he can win at home.
Hopefully it's one of these deals you always talk about, like when we were in college and you'd look at the Boston Sunday Globe and they would pick the football games.
Yeah.
When all 8 analysts always picked one team, you're like, you should always go the opposite direction.
Well, people are making the Mike Scott comparisons. Like,
yeah.
They got to win this in 6, or you don't want Cliff Lee in a game 7.
Yeah.
Is he on the Mike Scott level?
The guy was like 12-9 this year, by the way. I know some of that is a little phony because he got hurt when he got traded to Texas, but
he's very good.
Yes, very good pitcher. But
I was there for the Mike Scott thing, and Mike Scott was like,
unhittable. If
there's a game 7, he's going to win the game 7 and throw a 3-hit shutout.
Largely because he was scuffing the baseball, but unhittable nonetheless.
He was cheating. We didn't know at the time.
Yes.
But the comeback in game 1, which I happened to watch the whole game. I'm not. It's so pathetic. I'm just watching these Yankee games to root against them.
Mm-hmm.
And CeCe, who was about to get knocked out in the first inning, throws the wild pitch over Posada's head that somehow ricochets right to Posada. Mm. And CeCe, who weighs 390 pounds, somehow goes from the pitcher's mound to home plate and tags the guy out in time. It was an incredible play, but I watched it and I was like, oh, my God, there we go. They're going to win this game somehow. Even when it was 5-0, I kept watching, just waiting. The Cano goes deep. Just kind of, you could feel it. And then they kept showing Bush.
Yeah.
For some reason, it would seem bad for the Rangers. I'm not sure why. They have President Bush there, former president. But it didn't stop me from sending you a really evil text that you got a little upset about.
No, it hit me on a couple different levels, yeah.
But they rallied back.
I mean, if you call me tomorrow and we're down 2-1 with A.J. Burnett being the guy to stop us from going down 3-1, I'll be much more nervous. I'm not going to lie to you.
They're not really going to pitch him, right?
Girardi claims it. Said no matter what the situation is, we're pitching Burnett.
That feels like a James Shields thing to me. It's like it's a guaranteed loss.
I don't get it.
Who are your other options?
Well, you bring back CeCe on 3 days rest.
Well, if you win today, you could do it, I think.
It's house money, then, to a degree, yes.
It's a big game tonight, Johnny.
Huge.
How nervous are you?
I'm fairly nervous. I'm like a 6.5.
6.5?
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that if Cliff Lee beats you, you'll get to root for him next year when you give him
absolutely. It's the one silver lining.
$145 million.
All right.
All right, John.
I'll talk to you, buddy.
Target percent off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
That concludes another episode of the BS Report, and we leave you with this final thought. Subway Restaurants is cheering on Jared. As if losing almost 250 pounds wasn't enough, Jared has run 552 miles training for the 2010 ING New York City Marathon. He fuels his training with the low-fat Subway Club. So now, to celebrate this landmark achievement, the Subway Club is the newest $5 footlong sub. For